All right. Thank you. Thank you, everyone. And yes, it's a pleasure for me to be here and participate in this event. I'm going to share my slides now. Just one sec. Okay, so thanks, everyone, for coming to my talk. My name is Juarez Junior. I work for Oracle as a Java developer evangelist. And today I'm here to talk about, creating GenAI applications with Java in Spring AI. So without further ado, let's get started. Yeah, so I'm speaking from Dublin, Ireland, where I live, and I have 20 years of experience in software engineering and developer relations, with many interesting companies, as you can see, Oracle, IBM, Nokia, Unisys, Microsoft, Accenture, and a few startups. Some of my previous roles regarding technical leadership, and I'm a frequent speaker at conferences like the one today. This is our agenda. Okay, so we're going to have a look at AI and GenAI in general and how it relates to synthetic content. Then explore artificial intelligence and what is defined as AGI. Speak about OpenAI, which needs no introduction. Pretty much everyone knows ChatGPT. And then explore Spring AI as one of the perhaps mainstream de facto frameworks under the Spring Boot and Spring Framework umbrellas to support the development of GenAI applications with Java. A quick overview of the Oracle Database 23 AI, which has interesting features regarding, the role as a vector store, so it can store vectors, floating point vectors, embeddings, and as it is required by some GenAI related use cases. And I have many cool demos. I'll try to fit as many as I can. And of course, if I have time, I want to introduce you to some of the interesting technical resources and the programs that we have for both Java and database developers. Yeah, interesting to mention my focus here, the core audience is a presentation towards people who have a technical role or perhaps IT leadership role, but not necessarily the machine learning, deep learning engineers. So I'm not gonna go, and explore things like statistics and mathematics and, the core of those models, right? I want to enable developers to innovate from today with pretty much the same tools that they use when programming with Java. Yeah, so speaking of AI and GenAI and synthetic content, as you can see here, at the end of the day, generative AI, it is because we generate synthetic content, right? And that can be, I don't know, an image, it can be audio, it can be a video, text, of course, right? As we do when interacting with ChatGPT, or even code, we can generate code. And as a software developer, perhaps you are already using one of those, AI assistants, right? We can see the city of Vilnius in Lithuania pictured in a kind of futuristic, cyberpunk cityscape here. And that was, of course, created with GenAI. So in a nutshell, GenAI, we are talking, of course, about pretty much the same artificial intelligence algorithms, software components and so on. But we have the so-called models, and specifically the transformer models. And, ChatGPT, the T actually stands for transformer, with this capability of generating content, again, content that can be text, images, videos, code, audio, and so on. The generation is usually a result of an input prompt, an interaction, and there's an entire area called prompt engineering now. with some best practices regarding the way that you may need to interact with a target model and how to extract meaningful responses, from that interaction. Many ethical issues are related to artificial intelligence in general, but I would say technology as well. Misuse, deep fakes, with a photograph of you, it's depending on the platform possible to generate a video, bias and discrimination, and it's important to have the proper guardrails in place, things like responsible AI and so on. Automation and job replacements, that's a kind of interesting one, but I'm not gonna explore this aspect of it. And cybersecurity and cyber criminals, because usually, the hackers or the so-called crackers, right? The malicious hackers, they like to explore technology. It won't be different when considering GenAI. Okay. At the end of the day, on top of all the blocks that I mentioned, we have the applications then. And at the moment, there's an opportunity to, regarding business processes and use cases and all the functionalities to, identify some intersection points where you can infuse artificial intelligence in order to optimize those business processes and use cases, perhaps eliminate waste and, expedite processes. And that's a fantastic opportunity because it touches, all major, business verticals, market niches, specifically, it will transform business. Examples here in terms of fields, we can see content development, entertainment, the pharmaceutical industry, software development, healthcare, material generation, you name it. Another interesting thing regarding AI and GenAI is this concept of AGI, or artificial general intelligence. That's the ultimate goal, and that's why we see, the entire industry and, the big tech corporations and, universities, researchers, everyone, actually converging towards, fostering these discussions and seeking standards and many other things around artificial intelligence, because AGI, they want to actually position us humans to be on par with, not position us, but actually the AI models and the solutions to be on par with human beings, Some areas are already there. I'd say perhaps, text recognition and translation and other areas, but it is still evolving. Yes, next one is OpenAI and GenAI. Oh, I forgot to mention AI is now a commodity as well. That's interesting because what happened, as an example, with the cloud computing industry, and the migration, that it is still somehow happening in terms of IT transformation and modernization. Migration from on-prem systems to cloud platforms, that at the end of the day will allow developers to get, all the services and platforms, regardless if that's SaaS, software as a service, or PaaS, platform as a service. But with the subscription, you can go and select your services and, deploy your solution. And AI is somehow now reaching the same stage, because with companies like OpenAI, which is actually on my next slide here, we have that. We have a platform, they are abstracting all the complexity regarding not only training models, but also optimizing models, deploying them at scale, managing security, the entire governance, a selection of runtime environments in terms of these scalable computers and the underlying infrastructure with the use of GPUs and those powerful processors, and exposing that as a kind of easy application programming interface with the OpenAI API, which is actually a REST interface. So enabling the HTTP protocol, the internet protocol, and also possibly JSON, an easy way for you to interact with such a scalable infrastructure, and all the models are there pre-trained, and all the complexity is managed. And the interesting thing is that now, the cloud players, including Oracle, we have the Oracle Cloud Infrastructure GenAI service, also serving services and supporting GenAI applications and use cases with models and all the proper interfaces in several different programming languages, including Java, which I happen to have a quite interesting demo, but not for this talk here. But if you go to my blog on Medium, you will see a blog post related to that now, to that over there. Sorry. Yeah, speaking of Spring AI now, you can see a couple of links here. I do recommend you to have a look later. The nice thing with Spring AI, it is at the end of the day, the same Spring framework and component model with the use of annotations and the usual components, so you can have just a plain architecture for the best practices and the blueprints. And it provides an easy and a straightforward way for you to get an interface and interact with several GenAI providers, the likes of OpenAI, Cohere, Oracle Cloud, and so on. And with Spring AI, there's actually a typical use case that can be easily implemented that is called RAG, Retrieval Augmented Generation, because when you interact with a GenAI model, at the end of the day, the model, is trained and deployed at scale, and it is there available, so you can use it, but it does not follow, recent, happenings, and it does not know about events and things that happened, I don't know, perhaps yesterday in the morning, so. And that's a problem, but there's a kind of documented blueprint at the moment to address such limitation by complementing the knowledge base and the context with additional information. And that's what RAG stands for, Retrieval Augmented Generation. So we can ingest, unstructured data, PDF files, videos, images, JSON files, and then with that, augment the context and get more meaningful responses. That's important because, if you have a core use case related to, I don't know, healthcare or telecom, you can just ingest, business-related information, related to the business domain. And with that, you can, I would say, improve the responses dramatically, Yeah, so with RAG, in a nutshell, we have this process then. As I said, usually you ingest unstructured data that gets converted to some tokens, floating point vectors. And then we store those as embeddings using a vector database. In our case, that's the Oracle Database 23 AI. And with that, you can then run the entire RAG interaction use case and cycle to, I would say, augment or complement the responses with data that is actually improving the general quality of your response, Spring AI, it covers a wide range of functionalities, not only chat completions and interactions, embeddings, as I just mentioned it, image generation as well. We're gonna generate an image later on, a quick one. Speech and transcription APIs as well for multimodal applications, vector databases with the Oracle Database 23 AI, as I mentioned. The Oracle software engineering team contributed extensions to the open source Spring AI project. So you have all the bits there and published documentation to implement my code samples here. I happen to have a blog post as well if you want to have a look behind the scenes. And function calling, which is quite interesting because it allows you to implement a kind of bidirectional communication when implementing the interaction, because usually, this call from the client, it calls the remote LLM, the model, and then gets the responses, pretty much the same way that people interact with ChatGPT. That's a kind of unidirectional communication, but there's actually a way for you to allow the model to call an external API or component, and then I have an example to support that as well, a code sample, a demo. It establishes kind of a bidirectional communication and, allowing for more flexibility so you can actually add additional context and information using a different design pattern as well. Oh, sorry. And okay, so and then focusing a little bit on the topic of my talk, creating a Blazingly fast applications with this stack. The first thing I would say is actually perhaps from the software development and productivity standpoint is, of course, to use and leverage, as I said, Spring Boot, the Spring framework, and Spring AI with the accelerators and all the encapsulation that you have. As an example, if you want to interact with the OpenAI API, and we'll see that in my code samples. And everything is encapsulated, but you can, if you want, you can perform a call to the remote REST endpoint by using only the HTTP client as provided natively by the Java runtime and other APIs. But of course, you have to compose the request and headers, and then process the response headers, and and build the body for the request, everything, in a kind of manual from scratch fashion, right? So that's the first thing that you can achieve in terms of performance during, project time, compile time. And the second one, at runtime, we can first enable the use of GraalVM, which is an interesting project by Oracle Labs, our research and development arm inside of Oracle, with labs in Switzerland and other countries, the US and so on. Things in Ireland as well. And GraalVM, it allows you to create a native executable, so you can essentially run at the same level as your other native friendly programming languages like, I don't know, C, C++, Golang, and so on. Okay, so it positions Java to be also delivering the best performance possible with just, this interesting GraalVM project. That's one recommendation. The second one is, of course, to enable and use virtual threads, because that's usually now a good change for your application, provided that you don't have the classic blockers in terms of using synchronized code and other specific situations where you have to inspect the case more carefully. It's good because it prevents, having the mapping from one Java classic platform thread, inside the JVM to the underlying OS kernel thread, the actual, operating system assigned, a resource intensive thread. With virtual threads, you can run thousands or millions of threads on top of a few threads, native threads, so the change is actually not so disruptive in terms of perhaps some refactorings or things that you have to do to enable them at the Java level, code level. But with Spring and Spring AI, it is just a matter of using this specific property. We have an example with the application.properties file here, but you can also, of course, use YM if you prefer. It's the same property and same way of composing the property inside the YM file. So have a look at this one as well, because this is an important one for a runtime execution. Now, just to position the Oracle Database 23 AI, because I use it to execute some of the demos. Over 300 major new features. It's impossible for me to talk about them all during my talk today, but perhaps with out of the three main pillars, as we can see here, I want to focus on AI for data features, and at the core of it, we have something called Oracle AI Vector Search, which enables then the use of the Oracle database as a vector data store with a new vector data type, some extensions to the SQL language as well, some new functions. Pretty much all the bits are available for you, even if you don't want to use, some frameworks, which I recommend, but just to mention, and so you can see how well that is implemented with the Oracle database. If you don't want to use LangChain or LangChain for J, or or even Spring AI, you can still create GenAI applications with SQL or PL SQL natively. I will show you how this vector looks like, as you can see represented here. Other features, in terms of, developer-friendly features, like JSON relational duality views, a kind of interesting way of mapping both worlds, but not the classic ORM way, perhaps, if I can put it that way, true cache, and so on, okay? The other, usual mission-critical features that Oracle is extremely strong regarding those environments and enterprise applications. If you want to have a look and run my examples, as I said, I have blog posts explaining the details with all the steps, and the code samples are referred as well. So you can reproduce it later at your home, your time. You can scan this QR code, and there's a container image available for you. Also some VMs, for VirtualBox, and that is the same database in terms of features, core features, if compared to the upstream component, and the one that is actually running on top of the Oracle Cloud infrastructure called Oracle Autonomous Database 23 AI. Okay, so have a look. Shifting gears now, we'll have a look at some demos, okay, with Spring AI. We'll show you the Oracle Database 23 AI, talk a little bit about AI Vector Search, OpenAI, and other things. Okay, so now, first thing, let me show you, this is actually a database. And as you can see, I have vector data here. So this is actually the internal representation of those floating point vectors that I talked about. So when I actually ingest the data and I convert, a PDF file or a video or an image, that's how I store it, okay? And I'm retrieving it from the Oracle database. But let's first have one interesting demo now with OpenAI. So I will show you how easy it is to actually generate things like images with GenAI and Java code and so on. Okay, so I think I have this one pre-compiled, so I can just execute it as far as I remember. So my first example is just a simple one. I'm gonna perform a direct call. I have a Java application to perform that, of course, but it is just a direct interaction with OpenAI. And my prompt is, to generate an image, a Tesla car with the Lithuanian flag. Okay. I think my app is up and running. It is. So yeah, let's run this call here. Meanwhile, I can walk you through the source code. First thing, this is just a plain Java Spring application, so no tricks here. You can see the application properties file, which I actually have here as, oh, sorry. I have basically the OpenAI API key because you have to go to their platform and generate this API key with your account and subscription. As you can see, I enabled virtual threads. And for this chat interaction, I'm selecting as a model GPT-4o. Okay, you'll see different examples like the one that I will use the vector embeddings, that I will use vector embedding model as well. Okay, checking the result. Wow, we can see here, actually, it's an interesting one, but yeah, we generated the image. One interesting aspect is usually those calls, they can generate the same image or results, or you can get totally, results that are totally different, as you can see here, because the interaction with the LLMs is somehow a non-deterministic operation. Okay, but speaking of the application, that's the configuration that I need, and after that, you can see this is just a plain Spring application. No tricks here, just the usual entry point. I load the OpenAI API key for my image client, as also an environment variable here. And then I have this controller, which implements the controller pattern, the resource pattern. You can see the resource mapping here. And then I delegate that to my service, which essentially performs the call against the OpenAI model. You can see the image client here as used here, and I select a Dolly tree as the model. It is one of the models that you can use, but there are other options like Stable Diffusion from Stability AI, and Oracle, we have Stable Diffusion 4J, a library that you can use. You don't even have to pay for remote API calls. You can just use it as a standalone project, I have to mention. And additional properties here, like the height and width of my image, So you can see that with only a few lines of code and this Spring AI project, I can actually generate, an image. So that's extremely straightforward and easy for Java developers. Okay, so yeah, this powerful interaction is available for you then. I can generate other images as well. There's a place in Ireland that is a famous, touristic sightseeing spot called the Cliffs of Moher. I think I still have the application up and running here. Yeah, so you can see, yeah, and that's indeed the Cliffs of Moher. But anyway, let's proceed to have a look at another example now. So the next one, I will show you a scenario with a RAG, as I explained, which is the scenario that allows me to actually ingest additional data, I will be using a PDF file, and you know, with that I can augment the context of my you know, application. And let's execute it first so I can show it in action. Okay, so I'm gonna use the same prompt here, but change directories. For this one, it's will perform one direct call to OpenAI without involving the additional context. That is the PDF file that will be ingested. Okay, we'll be actually asking some questions about the Oracle Database 23 AI version. And I will then ingest this technical brief, okay, as part of my RAG, Retrieval Augmented Generation process. And then we'll ask the same questions, but using a RAG then as one of the options to execute it. Oh, what happened here? Okay. Yeah, let's give it another try. Not sure why it failed. Okay. Oh, interesting. Okay. So, well, let me show another example then. This is for something that we call multi-modal. Okay, so multi-modal is when you want to actually generate, you know, audio or video or something, you know, from the interaction. Okay, so I have this example here because the one with RAG has an issue. If I have time at the end, I'm gonna try to debug it, but let's have a look at another example here. Okay, so let me do something. Open a new prompt as well. Okay, so for this one, we'll have, you know, a call to generate an audio file. Okay, I'm gonna start the application here first. Okay, so now I will use some calls from the command line. Okay, so I can actually generate one audio like this audio file here. I'm gonna open another prompt here and then call the API. Oh, let me actually do something here. Yeah, I'm gonna change directories and generate it again. Okay, so if I list here, yes, there's an audio file generated here. I'm not sure if that will be possible to be streamed, but if I go to the directory, the audio file is here. If I try to play it,
welcome to Minneapolis.
Yes, you can see that it generated, you know, the audio file with a person speaking, synthetic content again. And for this multi-modal one, let me just show you the code. There's something different here. First, you will see that instead of using a chat model, I'm using this transcription model, which happens to be Whisper -1. Okay, and the general interaction as well as part of my controller here I specify the target model that I want to use, the specific voice, and the output format. So again, as you can see, with just a few lines of code, you can achieve something like generating audio easily with a Spring AI as well. Okay. So the next one is actually about function calling. Okay, function calling is that feature, as I explained, another powerful design pattern that allows you to call external to call the model, and then the model can call an external component or API or function. Okay, so I'm gonna enable this one here. First, let's execute the application. I can close this one here. Oh, and actually, I know what happened now. Let me just double check. I can go back to the RAG example here. Then try to execute it once again. Unless I change it, the specs for the vector dimensions, I think it will be able to process. Oh no. Okay, so yeah, interesting. It is not connecting indeed. Okay, the last one, function calling, as I said, okay, we are gonna allow the model to also call one function that will create and have here. And as part of that interaction, okay, so yes, I'm gonna run the function calling application now, and as soon as we have it up and running, we're gonna test it. Okay, cool. So now, first thing, I'm gonna call this API and provide a country name, but let's have a look at the source code so we understand what this application will be performing. Same thing here, entry point for Spring. We have a controller which exposes the resource, the get mapping. Then I have the implementation of a function. Okay, so I implemented a simple function, which at the end of the day, it is just a bin that will call this beer service, get beers by country service. Okay, so I'm simulating an external component or an external API here, right? And the implementation, of course, I have hard-coded values here, but you can see that if I send Ireland or Brazil or Sweden, the Netherlands, a country name, I will get the available beers listed. Okay, so I can go to my command prompt again now and perform a call. And, as part of this interaction, the result will be included also by augmenting the response by using my external function call, right? And the function calling feature. With the RAG example, unfortunately, the one for Spring, I don't have it here, but I happen to have, I don't know what happened with this one. Perhaps I could even, I don't know, delete all the data, but then I would have to restart the application. We'll have a look at that later because possibly there are no vectors here anymore. Okay, cool. So if I start this application, because I'm running out of time, let me have a look. Okay, no, I still have a few minutes. Usually, if I do it starting from scratch. There will be a step to perform the PDF ingestion here. It seems there's a problem with the data source, but let's see if now it will just process the PDF ingestion phase. And meanwhile, I also have, I happen to have an application here with another framework called LangChain4j, and I can show you actually a similar RAG use case. Where is it? LangChain Oracle. Okay, so as an example, a direct interaction, pretty much in a similar way regarding the one with Spring AI. First, I have a basic chat interaction. So this is essentially LangChain4j just sending a question to OpenAI. Okay, I can run this application here and see what I will get. I'm actually asking about my name, right? My who is Juarez Barbosa. Okay, so you can see that I get a wrong response because it is saying that I'm a professional football player, but I'm not that skilled. And then what I can do, actually, I have a RAG pipeline here, which essentially will do the same thing. I will ingest the data from my CV. You know, I have a sample of my CV with some paragraphs here and links. And then after performing that, I will actually be able to inspect the database and see if I get a better response when asking the same question. Okay, so I can do it. So we'll see, I can run it actually, I think in debug mode. Okay, so let's do it. And first thing, first I just echo the PDF content here. And then after that, I can move to instantiate the embedding model where I select, this specific model to create the vector floating point vectors inside the database. And okay, I'm gonna log the information about the model and the dimensions as I talked about. And I have them logged here. Oh, so there's a problem as well. Well, I don't know, but yeah, interestingly, my database does not seem to be up and running anymore. I don't know what happened. I can just, let me see. Yeah, unfortunately, I don't know what happened because it was supposed to be running. To do so, I can actually try to rerun it. The interesting point is that I still have yeah, it is connecting. So actually there's a problem on the data JDBC side of it, so the engine is not connecting. Yeah, well, that's pretty much everything that I have in terms of demos. I'm going to speak a little bit about Oracle for Java and for database developers. Okay, as you can see, the famous logos regarding Java technologies here. At the end of the day, with the Oracle database, we have what we call a converged database because you can address a relational, NoSQL, spatial, graph, blockchain, vector databases, as I presented today here with a single database engine. So you don't have to think about another moving part and create another single point of failure in your architecture just to work with data, right? This is an overview of the different libraries and APIs that we have. You can use synchronous blocking calls now with virtual threads. Our driver supports virtual threads or reactive strings libraries, Vertex, RxJava, Akka, you name it, with this driver as well. support to the latest versions, including JDBC standards. And there's an opportunity to actually collaborate with Oracle regarding an upcoming session with some of the product managers that focus on Java and application connectivity. Speaking of Oracle Live Labs, these are free workshops that you can access, not only regarding Oracle technologies, but also things like, JavaScript, Golang, Python, Java, Linux, databases, DevOps, and so on. So I do advise you to have a look. Oracle ACE is a program for distinguished community members with different tiers. So if you are interested in learning more, feel free to reach out to me on social media. I can understand how far you are and perhaps support you in becoming an Oracle ACE. And we also have the Oracle Cloud infrastructure. And you can get access to always free services, lifelong ones. So you can get a couple of autonomous databases with a free show regarding storage limits. But if you happen to have, I don't know, a side project, or if you want to explore this technology, this is a good opportunity for you as well. All the technical references are here, okay, regarding Spring AI, OpenAI, Vector AI Search, pointers to some blog posts as well and documentation. And that's it. Thank you very much once again for the opportunity to participate in this event. And I can take questions now in case there are any. Thank you very much.